Hey MCon, what's up? And yeah, as you can see, I hopefully got the camera and stuff working again. As I told you in the comments, I had to make a response to the music stuff because you definitely struck a chord with me with talking about the past of hip hop and music in general and how it really doesn't have any boundaries. It doesn't really know race. It doesn't really know, like, yeah, it may come from a particular source or in a particular culture, but once something has a decent groove, it has a decent groove, and I will hardly agree with this. But you're also talking about hip hop and rap, and that's a subject that's close to my heart, and it also is one that tends to get me into a few little disputes every now and then when I'm talking to people, for the simple reason that I just find that I can't enjoy rap as much as I used to. Now, notice the distinction I made. I love hip hop. Grew up with it. I mean, hell, I was born and raised in New York. I didn't leave that city until I was around 25 years old. You know, I remember the music way back when, when breakdancing first came out, when we were still able to put graffiti on the trains, before they came up with those types of walls that you can't keep spray on anymore. I remember back when you used to see, like, literally, living pieces of art going past you while you're trying to make it to Brooklyn. I remember back when the beats were originally simple, when Run DMC first came out, like you said, Houdini and Friends, the old crews that used to walk around, Busy Bee, who remembers those guys? And then hip-hop became more and more sophisticated and the beats got a little bit more complex, and you started hearing stuff that really, really got to you, like just beats that just had life stories of their own way before lyrics were even put on them. To me, that was hip-hop, like the experimentation, the don't really give a fuck attitude, we're just here to have fun. And yeah, you got the more serious types that came up with, messages and seriousness, like Harris One got a bit more, intellectual and deep as time went on. You had Public Enemy, of course, you had X-Clan, groups like that, but hip-hop was, first and foremost about that kind of more positive spin on street culture. And of course, when LA and Compton and WA came, the whole gangster side of things, and then the whole East Coast, West Coast BS that came about. And I knew it was BS even back then. But especially during those days, especially during the late 80s, early 90s, so like 90s is when hip-hop really took stride and beats really started getting sophisticated. And here's where my problem with hip-hop and rap starts out. The guys that truly made hip-hop the way it was were the DJs. Those were the guys that really gave hip-hop, really gave it its start. Hip-hop started with them. They were the ones that came up with the beat that got you moving. They were the ones that put MCs on in the first place. They were the ones breaking the records that later on became major hits. Who talks about DJs anymore in hip-hop? Nowadays it's all about the rapper. And if you ask me, rappers really haven't evolved hip-hop all that much. If anything, there's been a decline in talent. Yeah, you still got a few good cats out there here and now and then who come up with some really good shit, and some guys who really holding their own. Like you mentioned Mos Def. Mos Def is one of my favorites too. Common, he's always done his thing. The Roots, those guys kick ass. And to an extent, I'll say, yeah, Ludacris and Lil Jon also, but to be honest, those cats I don't really put in the same level as some of the cats back in the day. And this is one of my problems with rap these days, and why I find that I can't enjoy it as much as I used to. It doesn't really have the same kick. It doesn't get, at least to me. I know younger cats these days, they don't know much better. Though what I'm finding funny is that these days, if you put an old video on YouTube, you'll find newer cats going, oh shit, that sounds better than what we got now, because they don't know any better, And, alright. I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm not, maybe it's just my own personal taste, but I'm just going to do a little experiment here. I'm going to take a beat from nowadays, because I know you were playing certain beats and you say, yo, that's some serious beats, those some deep beats. Yeah, they're heavy, but to be honest, to me, they're simple. They don't have the complexity and the charm and just the funkiness that old hip-hop beats had back then. The rhythms, the lyrical skill, but right now I'm not even going to go into like the lyrical skill and stuff. I'm just going to go into beats right now. First I'm going to play, something from today. We'll just play this. When you step up to Okay. Now I'm pretty sure you were like, yeah, that was something. Yeah, that was alright. Now I'm gonna play something that you probably have never even heard of, but this shit is old, right? Ready? Just listen and see what happens when you listen to this. Please tell me you hear the difference. And what I mean by hear the difference, I'm not just talking about, you know, obviously they sound different. There's a different melody, there are different samples used. But don't you notice that that beat sounded richer, deeper, and more complex than what we got now? And you could say that, well, yeah, that's because this is a darker beat or a heavier beat, so you don't really need all that much in it. Okay, true. And I do agree, because I also listen to jungle, and sometimes with jungle, all you really need is a good goddamn bass line and some drums, and you're set. If the bass line is kicking and the drums are there, you got a damn good piece. I mean, I can play some examples of that if you want, but all hard beats can have some level of complexity, like this one. See? That was a hard beat, wasn't it? EPMD, New York group. One of the gods of hip-hop back in the day. Beat made by DJ Scratch. That was a heavy freaking beat, and it was rich, and it was deep, and you can tell somebody worked hard on it. That's what rap is missing these days. The complexity. You don't have cats like Large Professor and, you know, Pete Rock, you know, guys like, or Premier, guys that made beats that just had you going, oh shit, like stuff that you could, I can listen to the beat all day. Don't really need lyrics. I can listen to the beat all day. I mean, I know I'm not trying to say that today's beats completely suck, because there's some beats, particularly like I notice that these days everyone's trying to have that South type of style. And the South style has a nice kind of, it just kind of gets you into the zone where you just like, you know, just you bob your head to it and you just like into it. Yeah, it can kind of get you into that kind of zone thing, but to me, it's like it's missing something. There's that certain bit of spirit. There's that kind of kick that hip-hop used to have with its beats that rap does not have anymore. They've got a little bit too simple. And it all sounds the same to me, which I know is a rather cliche and stupid thing to say sometimes. It makes me sound dated. It makes me sound like I'm not really listening to the music, but to be honest, it kind of does, because when you're constantly doing the same almost house groove, and I can't really fault using the same tempo over and over again, because house does that, and look how, you know, popular that is. But really, when it's just dum 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 dum, that's what it all sounds like to me. You can vary that a little, you know. It almost makes it sound like somebody just programmed the Casio keyboard, put a drum track on it, and there you go. What happened to the complexity of digging in crates, finding an obscure sample, twisting it around, making it your own, putting another layered set of samples, then kind of warping the drum beat a bit, and there you go. Like putting up stuff that made you go, look, this is actual music. Like back then in hip-hop, you used to be able to offend your DJs and go, listen to this. It took talent to put this together. You know, this guy like spent weeks, months searching for the right sample to, you know, switch around and rearrange and mess with. I mean, pick up any track, you know, pick up anything that Premier put together, and almost every beat has you going, damn, what was he thinking when he put those things? And another thing is, since I know where a lot of those samples come from and I know what the original music sounds like, it made me appreciate it even more. And I find that I can't do that these days. Now, I'm not trying to completely rag rap, because I still think it has some gems here and there, and it has merit, and people still enjoy it. And I don't want to be the old fogey telling young kids, your music sucks, because I know that's just, you know, older generations knocking younger, which is just plain stupid. But I just have to admit, I can't get into rap as much as I used to, because the spirit of hip-hop seems to not be in it. I'll talk about that a little bit more, because I'm running out of time, and I think I can kind of add more in the next part. So, see you in a bit.